Welcome to Caching Waves. This is another wave update for HBAR. Now I'm going to be focusing in on the smaller time frames in this video, but just a very quick recap on the daily. Have this as either a 3-wave ABC for a zigzag for a W, X wave complete, looking for a Y wave to the upside and a 3-wave pattern up around 17-18 cents as a combination WXY, or as a 1-2-1-2. Now, there's a lot of issues with this 1-2-1-2, but it is technically valid until we cross below 3.99 cents, in which case this was no longer be a wave 2, because wave 2 cannot end beyond the beginning of the wave 1, right? So you can see we're very close to invalidation, but I'm more interested in the smaller time frames here and to talk about how we can recover in this area. So off our C wave high, have this as a complex correction as an ABCX, which made a higher high, ABCY, 3-wave for our X, and final ABC for our Z. Now, if we collapse here, obviously this has to be relabeled, but until that happens, I am bullish to the upside. And how we need to recover in this method is in a diagonal, which is a 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 to make 5 waves of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That creates a larger 1 and 2. So that's what we're looking for on the smaller time frames. Now, ideally to get this, as you can see, we're right on our trend line to the downside. We make our one more wave to the upside to create that pattern, ABC, ABC, and we consolidate above this trend line, and then we can finally launch for our next move. Sorry, getting messaged here. Let me shut that down. Okay, so let's talk about the smaller time frames. Remember, to keep this entire count intact, we need to hold above the absolute low of 4.53 cents. But actually, to keep this diagonal intact, we want to hold above this low here at 5.06 cents. Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, so last video, this is where things can get very touchy, right? This was the last video. I wanted one more move up into this zone. As you can see, I did not get that. And hopefully you ended up hedging or taking profit if you used my analysis to guide your decisions. Your decisions, not mine. But you can see we did come to our zone we expect, which is the wave 1 off the wave 2 between the 618 and the 786. You can see we came right in that zone we wanted to be in. Now this does have to be relabeled, as you can see, and the most obvious relabeling is a wave 2 flat. That's the way we get the right amount of waves for this count to be accurate, and this becomes a flat pattern. Obviously quite annoying when that happens. But if we look at this, this would end up being our wave 3. In that scenario, we still have 5 waves within our third. That would be a sharp correction for our wave 4. So we have the guideline of alternation there, flat, sharp. And then this would actually be our wave 5 that came up a little bit shy. But there is 5 waves in there as well, in which case we'd be looking for our 4th and our 5th to continue. So hopefully you hedged here. You had lots of opportunities to do it down in this zone as well. Even if you were analyzing this in real time and saw this as a potential complex correction, you would have wanted to hold at around that 4th wave to get that last pivot to the upside. So we had a chance to recover, but it was basically from here as an ABC. And if you saw this as a 1-2-1-2, obviously your stop would be somewhere in this area. So you should have been fine if you were following rules and guidelines here. but we did come to the exact zone we wanted to between the 618 and the 786. As you can see how that tiny little move makes a difference. And if you go down to the really small time frames, it's very difficult to tell the difference between a 5-wave move and that or a 3-wave. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. That's why I tend to focus on fib targets more than anything, and this one came up a little bit shy. So if we take our A as our expanded diagonal there, and our B and our C, we did come just past the 1.618 extension. And let me check out here. How did this impulse play out? If we take from the low, where does that get us? Low, high, low. Let's see how that ended up doing. Make that in white so it's obvious to us. Well, if we take beginning of wave 1 off of wave 2, boom, 1.618 off the low and right between our 200 to the 2.236, as you can see. So that pull was actually hitting ideal. So if you're following, like I suggest, when I can't get a good wave count, I follow just the fib pulls. You should have taken profit in that area as well. But if we go off the flat, we came up a little bit shy, but we still hit that 200%. Interesting, right? And another way that could have helped you is if you were using a channel. Take 2 to 4 in this scenario off of 3. Yeah, we didn't quite come up to the upside of it, but if you had some sort of guide on there, it should have been pretty obvious to you. This was your exit right here if you were in this. All right, but besides the fact, that's now our count. We came right to our zone between the 618 and the 786. Ideal. We have our C wave complete. So our main way to recover at this point, and get rid of that as well, is to hold this wave 2 at 5.06 cents. We also want to do it obviously within a contracting manner. Let's pull that back. Right now I have us on a shift. I want to go to modified. So anywhere in this area we want to see a pivot to the upside to make sure we stay in our contracting nature for these trend lines, right? So I use pitchforks, modified shift, and shift in these scenarios. These are the levels I want to see hold. Let's throw on our Fibonacci pull for wave 3. Let's see where we're at. We'll make that green. So we are between the 50 and the 618 currently. Wave 2 held between the 50 and the 618 as well. So ideally we hold in this zone so we can keep our contracting nature and not come to the 786 if possible. Otherwise we start risking being a expanded diagonal, which are less common, less probable, right? So we want to stick with probabilities. Now, similar to this wave here, this can be counted many different ways. So that's our problem. So we know we're in the zone we want to be. Our invalidation is down here. So how do we take advantage of this scenario, right? Well, there's multiple different ways to play this. You can go with invalidation levels. If you want to go with guidelines, you could go just past the 786 for your stop. If you're very risk adverse but realize you won't win as often, as you can put your stop just past the 66, the golden zone. It all depends what kind of trader you are and how much risk you want to put on the table. Now for stops, I go between log and linear and go with the furthest away price if I was playing the 66. So on linear, it's 545. On log is 542. I'd go with 540-ish, you know, just past that. But this is the move I'm looking for. Another 3-wave move to the upside to stay bullish, creating a wave 1 and eventually our wave 2. This is the trade, if we get this, that we really want, right? Now there's scalps available here. You can play them several different ways. You could buy now if you want to, up to you, your decision. Put it either at the invalidation, the 786, or just past the 618. You can wait for the first move up as an A wave, wait for the B wave, and then play just the C wave. That's a trade as well. Similar, 56, 618 in that area, stop at this low, etc. There's multiple different ways to take advantage of this. Important thing is to keep this trend intact, we need this wave to the upside. Otherwise, all we have here is a 3-wave move to the upside, right? That's corrective. Unless we get this wave and we invalidate these levels, chances are we make a new low. We only have a 3-wave move. We need that last wave to get probabilities to our side that this is a bullish market. But there is obviously a good trade currently available. Depending where you put your stop, you get the idea. At least 2 to 1. Your decision to make, not mine. But let's go down to the smaller time frames and take the most significant pivots. You can see it's a very tough wave count. This looks like a three wave ABC. Yeah, nothing really there I can count with high probability, right? So what I tend to do in those situations, it's very difficult on small time frames, very, very difficult, is I take the significant pivots, look for the 1-to-1 and the 1.618, somewhere in this zone, we might get a 1.236, 1.382. Somewhere in this zone is where I would want to look for my entry. That's where, if this is an A wave or a W wave, again, very difficult to count, as you can see. This is where I would just use extensions and our Fibonacci retrace levels from the previous wave, right? So this is kind of a risk-taking entry. You know, it can absolutely collapse and go to a lower low, but this is also the best risk-reward zone if we get that 5th wave to the upside. Now, if you prefer to wait, nothing wrong with that. You can wait for it to recover, look for a micro 5-wave. Maybe you'll get a clean 5 waves. Who have to see, right? Or you can wait for the break of this trend line, see if there's a 5-wave pattern, buy a pullback. It all depends what kind of trader you are. What I do sometimes even is buy at these levels with a tight stop, like the 6.6 or something like that in these areas. And if I do happen to get a clean 5-wave for like that A wave and the ABC, then I have the option to leverage up on the C wave breakout. That's a scenario I do as well. It all depends on how I tend to trade the market, depends on how clean of a setup it is. When I say clean, I mean how easy the waves are to count. Sometimes they're not easy, right? So we'll see. This could be an A, B, C. This could be our X wave. This could end up being a flat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We really don't know, right? This could be a W, X, Y, zigzag, and a flat. We don't know, right? We won't know until the reaction after. But besides the point, this is the area. If we are going to get this move, it has to be from this area, right? But yeah, let's see if we get some recovery here. Hard to say. If you watch my Bitcoin video, there's many different options available to that. This is kind of the moment of truth in a lot of things. So we'll see if we need another low, and I'd have to relabel everything, or if we get this 5th wave to the upside. But either way, this looks like our completed 3rd wave, and invalidation of this diagonal whenever we get our pivot, we'll be looking for, let's say we get it, the 618. Again, we'll be looking for the 786 and the 618 of the 3rd wave up in this zone. invalidation of the diagonal will be the extension where wave third becomes the shortest. But we won't have that pull until we get that pivot, right? All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. But it's very important when you can't count a wave, it's okay to not be able to count it. I have an idea that this could be a zigzag X and a flat 3, 3, 5, right? Like so, A, B, C, X. We get a 3, 3, looking for 5 waves down. Perhaps we come a little further. Or it could be something even completely different, right? We won't know until the conclusion, unfortunately. But we are in that pivot zone. We want to see it hold. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. When I don't have a significant update, I like to talk a little bit about education and how I trade. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, guys, that's it for HBAR. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.